So welcome to the hashtag Make Procurement Awesome with SAP Ariba podcast series. I'm Andrew Hunt from the Digital Transformation Organisation, or DTO. Today I'll be joined by Lorraine Longato, also from the DTO, representing the value engineering team. So in this session, we'll hear from Lorraine around discussing how she successfully progressed a couple of transformation programs during the pre-sales cycle and beyond. Lorraine will also describe how she went about approaching customers and account executives, working closely with a variety of teams, and some of the challenges that she's faced and sharing the lessons that she's learned. So Lorraine, thanks for your time. I know you're really busy. Tell us a bit about yourself, your role, your title. What do you do?
Well, I'm Lorraine Longato. I work in a value engineering capacity for the DTO. We're an organisation that basically is about supporting the AEs in achieving their goals in their territory and working with the client to provide those visions.
Can you share some recent experiences that you've had in this space?
Okay, so they're very different, and the reason why I've chosen two is because they operationally and functionally have different direct and indirect concerns and what have you. So the fast-moving consumer goods company, for argument's sake, we've agreed to call that ACME, and the engineering and operations company that we're going to be talking about, they're going to be called Buzz Incorporated, to obviously protect their interests. Generally speaking, very different organisations, very different issues that they had, and equally, what we fundamentally went into these organisations to discover was, in truth, the same thing, but what came out of it was a complete transformational journey, and we're finding that to be more and more the case because organisations assume that they have systems in place, but when they realise the pace at which technology industry in the world is moving at, they do realise that they need an assistance, and we're more there than anything else to provide that sanity in achieving a business case outcome.
Okay, so you're finding organisation needs the correct structure, people, process and technology in place. Tell me, how do you go about approaching the right stakeholders to have this discussion?
Well, ironically, people just assume that we would walk into an IT department and get this done, and others would assume that we work with procurement. But ultimately, procurement is intrinsically linked with AP, Treasury, and financial services, and you'll find that IT has a vested interest in this. So what we find has been successful, especially with reference to the two organisations, ACME in fast-moving consumer goods and the engineering, construction, operational company, Buzz Inc., we found that the best engagement with the best possible outcome and results was only achieved because we had every stakeholder at the table to align their expectations to the vision of the organisation.
Great. So how did you get those stakeholders to the table?
It was a series of meetings. At first, it was obviously with procurement and IT in those first instances. But then when we sort of started to propose plausible futures and numbers, and obviously procurement sees numbers and runs off and says, yay, we're going to achieve that. But we stress that unless you have the yin and the yang, i.e. AP, as well as Treasury, the individuals who own the purse in this discussion, there's always going to be a fractured process. So it's a matter of educating the teams and bringing them all to the table to show them that if we have everyone at the table, then people own KPIs, people will feel engendered to deliver to the program, and it works as a collaborative 101 on how to get things done.
Great. I really like how you describe bringing them on the journey. So how did you overcome some of the blockers?
Well, look, I'll give you the example of Buzz Inc., right? Very strong entity that realised that they needed to change procurement and their cost base because of the pressures that they were put on, especially eventually going to market and being sold as a division. What they realised is they needed to increase relevance and importance in their organisation. But if they did not have other stakeholders on that journey, we could only deliver half the story. We could identify the benefits, we could show them what they could plausibly achieve, but we can't realise it with the other stakeholders. So stressing the change management process and then having a CPO on board who understood this and also invested just as much time and effort in change management really helped us.
So did you get the chance to use the 12 keys?
Ironically, it was prior to the 12 keys being printed, but I think you and I both know, being engineers by background, we follow the project management PMBOK 101 sort of process methodology.
We'll have to edit this part. Thanks, thanks, Lorraine. So tell me, you talked about describing overcoming blockers and applying some change management approach, which is terrific. Tell me, what was the strategy you used up front, and was there an effort that you used to apply this, or an approach you used?
I think from day one, internally as an organisation, because we were trying to talk to both of these organisations in the past and failed miserably because we did not have the right stakeholders, from day one we agreed internally as a team that we would only ever go in together. And that's how we approached it. Our first workshop was a series of solution consultants, services people. We even had one of the deployment consultants as well as myself in the room to discover together with the client.
So you created a team approach, a team lift. How did you go about that?
Internally or externally? Internally, we created that team up front and pretty early. The AE was brilliant on both occasions, and both businesses, two totally different AEs. They were both brilliant in bringing a team together, aligning to the SAP AEs as well, to ensure that we were always constantly communicating, updating on a weekly basis everything that needed to be done on both of those accounts, understanding who had to be brought in and when, and also getting the sponsorship from senior leadership and sponsors at a regional level as well. And we're talking people like Alex and so forth coming in at the right intervals to ensure that we had constant touch points.
So tell me, Lorraine, the methodology you applied, is there anything that you felt could have been done differently?
Well, the methodology we applied as a team worked very well for the execution and the sales and delivery. Ultimately, we always seem to, as an organisation, reach hiccups in the transition to the deployment piece and what have you, and inevitably escalations and what have you occur. But what has worked really well, and irrespective of noise in the background with these two organisations, irrespective of that, every time there has been a concern and an issue, the team has come back to myself, yourself. In both of these cases, I believe you and I have worked very closely from a value engineering and value realization piece to reset the delta and reset expectations, but keep the customer on the journey at every step of the way. So I think as a result, I would say pre and post sales, DTO should always intrinsically stay involved, but inevitably it's a matter of constantly updating and ensuring that everyone knows what's happening.
Great. So tell me, do you need assistance in building content or adjusting the approach further? And if so, who do you think should assist?
Well, as it pertains to content, I think we're constantly getting updates from the Centre of Excellence, and we're sharing them on a regular basis with our AEs and CXs and what have you there. We also get updates from EMEA, from the James Marlin sessions, which I share with the whole region and teams. We're constantly getting tools, methodology, and ideas and approach. What we're currently also working on now, as you're aware of and you're part of, is the CRC, which is the Customer Reference Council, and we're trying to bring together a minds that matters around customers' tribal stories, so that we can then broadcast them region-wide and keep updating and supplying our AEs with all the tools they need to be successful.
Great. So creating a framework for socializing customer stories sounds really interesting. Is there anything else you're planning?
Well, there are relaunches of certain platforms to keep that going. What we're also putting is a process methodology around giving KPIs to this tool so that it relieves stress and strain from the CEs, so they free up their time to work with the customers and rely on the tool to do things with the customer reference portal. So in effort, we're trying to implement systems and tools that will lighten the load on all of our people.
Great. Lorraine, I really want to thank you for your time today, for a fascinating insight into your role and what's been working well, and where we can improve. So thanks very much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Good luck, everyone.
And thank you everyone for listening to this series of Make Procurement Awesome with SAP Ariba podcast. If you'd like what you've heard and you'd like to subscribe to our podcast series on either iTunes or Google Play, and if you'd like further information around SAP Ariba, please visit us online at www.ariba.com.